status, of course. RJ, there's a couple things we want to talk about before we get into this one. First and foremost, vibrational.
Made the recordings really of any of my major courses available. And the vibrational engineering course is completely and utterly revolutionary. It is not what you've been told or what you have learned in terms of how manifestation works, because what you've been told, etc. So now it's actually going to be available, and for a very short period of time, I'm going to put it at a massive, massive discount, but it will be for a short period of time. So take advantage of it. This will change your life completely. This course is geared about the manifestation of wealth. Themselves opportunities so they can quote unquote fail, so they can stay limited within the ego mind identity. So Guy, the remedy when the craving kicks in, right, is to simply realize that you're the awareness of the craving, not the craving. Now, as the craving comes up for whatever it is, doesn't matter. As that craving comes up, if you meet the craving with pure presence, meaning just observe it, just watch it. The I am is so powerful and so high frequency that it will alchemize the craving if you sit in the I am long enough. And this is how we can overcome it doesn't, depression, anxiety, sugar, it makes no difference when we want to experience limitation. What's that like? What's it like to be limited, to not be connected to everything all at once, which is our natural state? What's it like to be disconnected? That would be a fascinating experience. Death, there's no such thing as death, but what would it be like to actually think that you're going to die, that you don't exist after that? Again, it's an experience of limitation, because an immortal, limitless being does want to experience everything. And some of those things that it wants to experience, believe it or not, are what you and I call limitations.
From your point of view, what would be some questions that you would offer people to contemplate and help them arrive at a deeper understanding of who they are?
Yeah, Jason, I think the single most important question that we ever ask ourselves is literally, who am I? This just the act of this questioning will reveal more than people can possibly imagine, by simply doing the self-inquiry of asking yourself who,
and pumping people up and all that stuff. So I saw it and I just started following you. And then one thing that stuck out right away is how real you are.
Right.
Like you have like 1.8 million followers, mm-hmm. and you get over 1 million views. So that means that almost everybody that follows you is looking at your stuff.
Right.
And then I read your whole story, I researched and everything, and I really related to how I started, because when I started in school, I was bullied my whole elementary school. I was my first language was Spanish because my parents were Mexican. Right. But even though I was born here, I learned Spanish, my first language, and I didn't understand anything about English except the bad words, the cussing that I would see in the cartoons.
Right.
So they sent me to school. I took the bus, an hour away from where I live, and I grew up in the
amount of energy. There's no such thing as finite. That is the limitations of body consciousness, and therefore the intellect. No disrespect to them, but those that can truly see would never say that, because it's endless. Tesla tapped into it. The ascended frequencies healing technique is essentially how to use what Tesla tapped into for your own healing. It's really lockstep, vibration, frequency, and energy. I hope you're enjoying the video, and if you are desirous of going deeper within yourself and deeper with me, make sure you check out my meditation masterclass. It is unlike Spider-Man shooting his spider web, right? He's now stuck to the building or whatever, right? Okay. So your energy is the spider web. So whatever you identify yourself with is an energy depletor. Now, this is the ego mind identity. This is what the subconscious pattern egoic mind.
We're not going to be open to that guidance, but I trust ultimately that guidance is always there. We just have to get still, quiet, create space in order to welcome it in.
Hey, Guy here. Today, I welcome back to the podcast the beautiful Kelly Noonan Goes, and she, if you're unfamiliar with the work, she created the documentary Heal, which had a lot of success back in when it came out in 2018, and still does to this day. Today, though, I don't dive so much into how she made the documentary and that. If you want to listen to that, you can go back to the first episode I did with Kelly quite a number of years ago now. But today we dive into a more personal journey, her spiritual beliefs, and her experience with ayahuasca as well, which I was very keen to dive into, and what the pros and cons of doing something like that as well, and how that's impacted her as well. And of course, we touch on heal and what the definition of heal truly means. This was a great conversation. I love my time with Kelly today, and I've no doubt you'll get a lot out of it too. We also touch on parenting, which of course we're both parents of young children. Anyway, if you enjoy the show, of course, please let me know in the comments below if you watch.
April 23rd, 2016. I had been sick for several months, but on that day, I became quote unquote permanently paralyzed from the chest down. I was told I had 48 hours to live due to severe sepsis. I was diagnosed with severe Hashimoto's autoimmune disease, type 1 diabetes, pancreatitis, thyroiditis, and I was maybe in the moment I was explaining, she probably thought it was effects of the anesthesia. This, but she was transfixed by the information I was relaying to her, because Michelle was so specific that it just couldn't be some kind of rambling about something. And I remember the look in her eyes. She's like, "How do you know this?" And I said,
For all these other questions I got here. Okay. I want to break it down a little bit. So, what were some of the awarenesses that you had? So you're in the hospital and you said you had this you started remembering, I know how to do this, and you're sharing it with a nurse. What did you remember? Like, what can you give us a little bit more there?
Yeah. So the remembering of the specificities of the remembrance are actually what makes up the Ascend the Frequencies healing technique, which is captured in the first book, Supercharged Self-Healing. So a lot of it had to do with going into a much higher state of consciousness. Now, when I say that, it's really going deep, deep, deep within.
So it's not about visualizing. It's not about imagining and manifesting. It's about aligning.
Yeah,
to break it down again.
That's exactly right. So if we can start to understand that what we are, forget body-mind complex for a moment.
Yeah.
Forget the human condition.
Yeah.
What we actually are is whole and complete. It is a divine fractal of God. So we are all that. Now, we take our attention and we leave that space and we go into the emotional body and the mental body and the lower astral body with all our beliefs. And that throws everything out of whack, out of alignment. So that is the electromagnetic interference, or the ego mind identity, which is the broadcast of everything that's I go into great detail. Talking about,
which I love. Yes.
Yeah. So I felt that the definition that we've used for a while of ego wasn't quite accurate enough. So I call it the ego mind identity. And it's who we think we are, how we feel about ourselves, and that's the emanation that goes out. And that emanation is actually how our so-called outer reality is created. Now, the ego mind identity is actually created through incarnation. So we are no longer connected, consciously connected to where we come from and who and what we really are. So as we're projected or born into the human condition and the lower frequencies here, as we're coming down, we're losing consciousness. We're literally losing who and what we really are and our connectivity experience here. The different data points within our life plan would be so shocking. It's almost like an energetic bucket of cold water thrown in our face, that we would almost shock ourselves into realization that who and what we really are, that we planned all this, that we're not the human form. But there are, from my perspective, there's literally probably less than 5 people on the entire planet that are authentically self-realized or enlightened.
Well, wow, 5 people. So what's the point of coming here? Why do we even come to Earth? Because if I'm awake on the other side of the veil, and then I come through the veil, or I'm veiled, you know, and I'm born in this human form. And then it seems like our goal is to awaken. Well, I'm already awake. So why do we even come in and have this earthly experience, or all
Oh,
these earthly experiences?
the challenge. We can only have true concrete reality that gives birth to all other realities. If we can be present, we're going to be able to experience the depth and the richness of ourselves and whatever experience we're having. That is when everything will change overnight. The greatest wealth, my friend, is in wanting nothing. All of us want a challenge. All of us are incredibly courageous. We never give ourselves enough credit because we're conditioned to acquire and become. Be the seeker. Don't stop. Stop now. And reverse that process. Here's the easiest way to reverse it. Well, this will be very controversial and quite upsetting. The only mandate of existence, Andy.
So simplistic, and everything around us appears to be male, female. Everything is a duality. Why? And what is the reasoning for that? And you know, how does it affect our consciousness? And is there another consciousness where we can start to deal with something more complicated than just a duality, right?
I want to let you know that you can now drop in on my self-healing class where we do a live Q&A and a group healing meditation. It's pinned in the comments below. Yeah. Okay. You asked a lot there. Okay. So is there, let me go to next level, or, you know, however you want to say it. Okay. So there is absolute existences, realities, states of consciousness, realms, however you want to say it.
Motherfuckers, I'm just going to worry about myself. I don't know them, they don't know me, but once you get close, you realize, oh, okay, he's normal, he's not gonna freaking bite me. But, but it was just part of like what I was doing. I'm like, I don't know these guys, they don't know me, and I'm just going back to the gym and training.
See, back in the day, I feel like in his era and my era, we was more like real fighters. And no disrespect to anybody, because I respect all my comrades, but a lot of the new fighters, I said this before, they grew up as fans of the UFC.
Yeah.
You wasn't
The one that I lost to him.
with Hendricks?
To Hendricks, yeah. As far as catapulting me to who I was, because I felt really good in that fight, and I feel like, but I lost, so I didn't do enough, and I feel like I won the fight to him, but I lost the freaking competition. He freaking out hustled me and won certain situations, but then I
suck. I've seen it.
What do you mean? That's the whole point. I'm training them. I'm trying to get better.
But why
you
you
gotta
going
train against the best guys?
But why you going against the Danny Center niggas when you suck?
Because they're supposed to be the best. I want to test myself.
No, you got to work your way up, man. You
No,
can't just.
I don't want that.
It's like right now, your first fight, you go against Robbie Lawler.
I would get killed.
Okay,
but
so
I'm down podcast. I love it more and more.
Yep.
We built this window so we could watch people spar as we're doing the podcast. I mean, obviously, you have a connection to fighting, and you have a connection to wanting to go deep. Does that have to do with like when you're getting hit that allows you to respond? Because most people that go through the battles you go through, they're giving up not based off the fact that they don't want to be there, but maybe cardio or maybe their mindset is not allowing them to get pushed past that line.
maybe their bodies are giving up on them. Maybe they don't have any options. I feel like if I'm breathing and I'm freaking conscious, then I have an opportunity